Episode 4, Dave.
Number 4, we're live.
Listen, we had people waiting in line today to come in and watch us. We actually have people in the audience today.
This is a live studio event today.
Yeah, I mean, you got to see them. We're not a packed house, but we have people in there.
There's so many people that I can't even see. Hey, everybody in the back there.
TikTok, I love it, man.
Hey, everybody.
Listen, maybe we can get them to do the wave. Maybe we can get them to do the wave later on.
Wave up.
We do have people in the studio audience today.
At least they're laughing here. Maybe
So
we do stand-up instead of the crime solver.
I just went right into it. I didn't even introduce you. Dave Colmar, my co-host, the problem solver.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it as well. Dave Colmar here.
Where did you get that great shirt? That one guy's really good looking on there.
So for some of you guys that don't know, I actually created this shirt with the guy. The goal is for the crime solvers, even though Danny Miner will always be the crime solver. But the crime solvers is a possible future TV show or something like that. So we're going to see what happens in the future, actually. So, but it is, if you want to get the shirt, you go to crimesolver.com, and there's different colors. I think it's kind of cool. It showcases me and Danny.
Yeah.
It could be a TV show where we're playing cops, even though we were cops. Or it could be us being the what we call a citizen journalist.
That's right, citizen journalist.
So there is a gun and badge here, which, of course, we're retired, but you never know what's going to happen on TV, right?
Oh, exactly. So, Dave, we have a couple things going on today,
okay.
right? I want to go over, I am going to do the Stratosphere climb in I believe that's the end of February.
Got it. I think there's a flyer on the screen.
Yep, if you look at the screen right now, I'm going to do the I believe it's 1,455 steps.
108 floors, 854 feet high.
Oh, God.
Are you ready for that? Can you do it?
Listen, I got a month to start training. I'm going to train. I want to do this. It's a great thing for charity. I believe it's a lung association that we're going for.
American Lung Association, and basically we're supporting it.
Yep.
And Danny, not myself. Danny's in better shape than I. I don't want to have a heart attack. I got 3 kids here, 3 babies.
Yes.
Your kid's a little bit older. But, yeah, he's going to be climbing the Stratosphere. Actually, if you want to join him, you can join him if you want to climb. Otherwise, he's going to go live as well. Hopefully, he doesn't have a heart attack. Then I'm just going to be doing the podcast weekly if he doesn't make it through. And that's February. What day is it again?
February, I believe it's 26th, I thought.
It is a Sunday at 7 a.m.
Yeah, definitely. And we're getting a text from somebody already. Oh, they're saying you need a black shirt on. They need a black shirt. Yeah. They don't like your red shirt.
Well, it was funny, actually.
That's disgusting.
It's funny because normally I would always wear a black shirt, especially I think I look skinnier in black. But I was actually thinking it was different for the fact of being on the show. I would stand out a little bit today.
Yeah, I like the
so
shirt.
I got Danny's personality is very high. So I got to at least wear a red shirt to kind of like offset it, right?
That's true. So, okay, so we're doing the strat. It's going to be tough, but I'm going to exercise. I'm going to get myself in shape. And while I'm getting myself in shape, I will do my live on TikTok so my TikTok followers could see me getting in shape. The other thing, I'm going to be speaking at Lowry's.
Lowry's Pub. Lowry's
Steakhouse.
Prime Rib.
Prime Rib.
Is that what it's called? Lowry's Prime Rib? Yeah, basically it's middle of Vegas, and there's a speaker, event that you basically could speak at, and we actually recently had Laura Powers there, who's a celebrity psychic, and basically she was amazing. She packed the house. There was 70 people there, so we're gonna have to see if we can have like standing room only for the crime solver himself, Danny Miner.
Sounds good. We're going to do it.
Okay.
We're going to do it. We're going to get a big crowd. It's going to be great, and I'll promote it definitely on my TikTok.
And for some of the followers that love Danny as well, if you go to thecrimesolver.com and you go to the spot in the news, he actually spoke at another event, another location, Danny, and you could watch him speaking as well if you care to do that as well. But it's in the news tab at thecrimesolver.com.
Sounds good. So listen, I think, we'll get into the number one thing that happened this week. And you're having 3 active shooters in California this week, which was insane. I mean, it was insane, Dave. And I think it's a controversial topic, but I think we should bring it up.
Absolutely.
How do we solve this, Dave? I mean, how do we solve this? People say gun laws, but California has the strictest gun laws in the nation, and that didn't help, right? So what are you thinking?
So the bottom line is this. Actually, that area, it's called Half Moon Bay in California, which is a beautiful area.
Okay.
There's a large Asian population in that area. I guess it's near San Francisco as well. And there's actually a beautiful hotel right by there. It's a Ritz-Carlton. It's just a gorgeous area. But, yeah, it's a problem all over the place. But it is weird that all of a sudden, within 2 days, that same area, that it was – well, one was a much older gentleman.
Yes.
And then one was a little bit younger. But, I saw one of the a chief or 4-star chief, whatever, they get on TV saying we have to stop it. Everyone always says we have to stop it, right? Like every city, whether it's in Pennsylvania or New York, what do you call it, in Buffalo, New York, where the major shooting took place. Yeah. Everyone says we got to stop it. Unless you take away guns from everybody. I mean, the problem is it is mental health issues.
Yes.
Is what it is. and people need more mental health. And I think with COVID as well, that people are still a little jacked up from being home and who knows what else. So I don't know how you really solve the problem when, I mean, even if you change things with the magazines, right, where there's less bullets and stuff like that. I mean, guns are out there. How many guns are in every home in America?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I personally have 2. I'm going to be honest with you. So I would say the average American probably has 2 guns, at least.
You know, I'm not even a gun guy, and I always say I don't care for guns really, but just because we were cops.
Right.
I think I have 5 guns and like a shotgun, and I don't even care about guns. So there's like gun fanatics, right? That
Right.
10, 20, 30, 40 guns. But I'm assuming at least 1 gun, 1 rifle at every door in America. But I really don't know how you do it. I mean, people need to report it, right? You need to call the police, right? If you see the whole strategy of see something, say something, call the police, call 911, call 311. And I think a lot of people, the newer generation as well, I think people don't want to call the police. Would you agree? The younger population.
I would agree. And here's the thing, Dave. I mean, I'm just going by my TikTok, okay? I talked about mental illness on my TikTok. And you were a police officer for, 18 years. When you took somebody to mental health, and I don't know what they call it in Nevada, in Pennsylvania, they called it a 302 commitment. Somebody's in danger to themselves, they want to commit suicide, in danger to others. You as a police officer has a right to take them into custody and take them to mental health. I'm going to tell you my feeling about it. They were released before I even got back to the police station. 9 times out of 10. The most I've ever seen somebody held was for an hour. Mm-hmm. So you got a guy that's screaming for help, saying he wants to commit suicide. He's homicidal too. And we release them in an hour or release them in 24 hours. How do we stop that? Well,
it's interesting. There probably needs to be a federal ruling or law that states a certain amount of time. So in Las Vegas here, when I worked in Henderson, it's 72 hours. It's called the Legal 2000.
Right.
And if someone basically says, I want to hurt myself or hurt others, law enforcement or a doctor, social worker can actually fill out a piece of paper that says, and you have to articulate why the person was going to hurt others or themselves, and then you could do the Legal 2000 form.
Right.
So I think that's good, but you have sometimes with people, right? If you're in uniform and you're a cop, most people don't want to say, hey, I want to kill myself. I mean, you're in uniform with a gun and badge.
Right.
And I have some crazy stories because I used to be very, very advanced. One of the jokes was that if you want to basically go to the hospital, you just tell Comar you want to kill himself. And then I was very good at getting people to extract it, but you needed someone to say, I want to hurt myself.
Yes,
I want to kill myself.
Yes.
I want to kill others.
Yes.
And it's not easy in full uniform with a badge and gun to get someone to say that because they think they're in trouble.
Yes.
They think they're going to go to jail for a crime. So I remember one time where I even told someone that was mentally unstable, even though I had my badge and gun on.
Yeah.
I told them I wasn't even, as police officers, most people don't know this, you're allowed to use something called a ruse, which is a little bit of a lie depending upon the situation, right?
Right.
So in the situation, I said, look, I'm not even a police officer. I'm just a mental health worker.
Right.
I wear a uniform, but I want to help you.
Right.
Because it was nothing about criminal related. It was really about their mental health. So the bottom line is, right, you have to convince law enforcement or doctors have to convince people to say that you basically want to hurt somebody before you can take action. So the problem is, right, in your city, it may be different, your state than other states. So I think there probably has to be a ruling, 72 hours across the board, all of the United States of America.
Okay, but here's my thing, right? What are we really doing? You're taking the person in custody because you know he's an endanger to the public or himself, but yet we release him. So what? I mean, we release him.
You got to get him, whether it's meds or therapy or help or institutional or something.
I agree. And see, a lot of people think, oh, it's only guns. The problem is it's mental health. I mean, it's definitely 100% mental health. You got it. Somebody that does this crime definitely has mental problems. So you got to get them help. If we're not getting them help, these incidents are going to continue. I mean, it definitely is.
There's a saying always people say, which I always find it interesting, because if you're against guns, they always say guns don't kill people. It's people kill people, right?
Right.
It's not just the gun itself.
Right.
So it is interesting, but people are using gun. They could use a knife, right? A lot of people get stabbed and basically hurt as well. But it's a problem. I don't know. I mean, if any of our listeners and viewers want to share what they think should be done. But like I said, we live in America and we have the right to bear arms to protect ourselves. I know myself in my home, right? I have my family, I have my kids. I want to be able to, right? You hear a noise, you hear someone out, someone's trying to break in your home. You want to protect yourself. Now, I'm mentally stable, but and I know they do background checks and so on. But I guess the laws, they're just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter, But again, if you really want a gun, you can get one, right?
Yeah, if you can buy one on the street in 5 minutes here in Las Vegas.
How many times you did that? I've never personally did that in Vegas or New York, but I think you did that, right? Did you ever buy guns in the street?
I didn't buy guns, but we had a female officer in our department that she was undercover, and she probably bought 3 or 4 guns within 5 minutes. So you can go on the streets in any city and buy an illegal gun in 5 minutes. So the gun law thing is out the window, okay? Listen, this is what I always say, and I'm going to get people mad, okay? Because people are very strong about this. But here's the thing. Nobody's going to Walmart to buy a gun to commit one of these incidents, and they say, oh, you got to wait 5 days. Oh, I have to wait 5 days, then I'm not going to do the shooting. That's ridiculous. That is not going to stop anybody. This is what I always say. Good guys go by the law. Bad guys don't go by the law. It's the truth, right? Am I right? So why the hell would a bad guy listen to a gun law when he doesn't listen to any other law, right? It's stupid. It's a stupid thing.
I always laugh because like my wife will say like to wear the seatbelt or something. I'm like, do you think the criminal on the street is like, like worried about a seatbelt or a gun, or he's putting his gun away?
Yes.
And one thing to share with you as well, a lot of people don't know, is the reason why there's marked patrol cars driving around. They all could be unmarked is because the goal is for marked cars and police officers in uniforms to prevent crime, right? If you see a cop and you're about to go commit a robbery or kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be like, oh shit, there's a cop, right? And I won't do it today.
Right.
Right. So the more police presence that's out there, the goal is to prevent crime from taking place. But the problem is, right, there's less officers on the street throughout the United States of America. People don't want the job anymore. I mean, I'm glad I'm retired. As much as we miss maybe helping people and so on, it's not an easy job in today's world, especially when kind of everyone's anti-cop.
Yeah. And you know what, Dave? Let's open the phone. Let's talk about the other things we want to talk about. But let's open the phone lines because this could be a big discussion. If anybody you disagree with us, we'd love to hear from you. Why do you think like more gun laws will help? Let us know. If you don't think gun laws will help, that's fine. Don't let us know. We want to hear your point of view. Phone number is going to be 833-847-7227.
And if there's any specific topics or questions you want to ask Danny and myself, please go ahead and call in. I placed the number. It should be on your screen. Also, thecrimesolver.com, which is a mobile app. You can add it to your phone, get notifications as well. And then you can click on Watch Now. And there's different locations that you could watch the show, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Go Live Vegas. Or you could also add Go Live Vegas app as well to your phone. I'm just reading some of the things that are coming in from TikTok a little bit. People just saying there's no repercussion for criminals, and they let them right out, which is a problem. Right?
Yep. Now there's a real problem with bail because most of the liberal states they're not giving people bail. People are committing violent crimes and they're getting released. I mean, what do you think's going to happen if you keep releasing criminals? More crime, more criminals on the street. It's common sense.
Someone messaged here that says, Can you comment on Brian's lawyer issue? Back to Idaho again.
Yes.
Everyone loves Idaho.
Yep. This case, let me tell you, and Dave, you worked with attorneys. You were a cop. We both worked in lawyer offices, attorneys' offices. Here's the question. I don't know if you know this. Ann Taylor, who's Brian's attorney, okay, she's the killer's attorney, the murderer's attorney from Idaho. She was actually representing two of the mothers on drug cases of the victims. She now withdrew from them and now took over the murders case. So let me explain this to you. The mother of one of the girls that was murdered, Ann Taylor, who's the public defender, was representing her on the drug case. Now her daughter was murdered. She drops the mother's case and now representing the murderer. You don't think that's a conflict of interest?
It's very interesting because when we worked in law firms, even if you just called a law office and you mentioned anything,
yes,
it was a conflict. Anything.
Yes.
Like if you said, hey, I'm calling about this person, they would have to do something called a conflict check at law offices. But yeah, of course, definitely it's a conflict. Just if you know the people in general, I think it's enough to be a conflict in general.
I think so too.
You know the other party,
And you know what? Here's the other thing people brought up. We're thinking about it could be an appeal for him. Think about him. She knew the victim's parents. So is she going to fight harder for them and not defend him enough? So I think it's an appeal process for him too. I think it's a mess. I think she should back out of the case. That's my feeling.
I think anytime that they always say if it's for human resources, like with lawsuits, like if it smells like an employee or looks like an employee, it's an employee.
Yes.
I think if it smells like an appeal or looks like an appeal, it's going to be an appeal. Or they're going to use it as an appeal. So you might as well prevent the appeal from taking place. By the way, Aaron, if you could put the phone number up on different screens, some people were asking about that. I'm not sure if it's up. I know it's up on. I guess.
Is it up? Guys, it's 833-847-7227. 833-847-7227. Any more questions there online?
Someone was saying here, let's see here. Someone was saying in Canada that basically that they're very strict laws as well, and that and yet they continue to add more in general.
Okay.
So the bottom line is that they're saying in Canada. I wonder what's so much stricter in regards to the gun laws in general.
Well, Canada, I think they banned all guns recently or purchase of them. I just don't know how. I mean, listen, we were cops. If I thought banning guns would work, I would say yes. But criminals get guns. They get guns. We know it, Dave, because we've been there. We've run the street. We know criminals get guns. Any other thing?
Let me just see what else is here.
What?
Let's see here. They said basically, or some people just saying where they're from. People are saying that sentencing you got to put people in jail longer, prison. More jail time in general.
I agree with that totally.
Recently there's another guy that I know. He did 20 years in jail. He did a bunch of robberies in Philly, and he basically did 20 years. He got sentenced for 213 years, which is Jeremy Clausen. He has a podcast called Gridability now, and he instead of 213 years, he was sentenced federal, but he only did 20 years and they let him out. I mean, he's a good guy in general. He's basically changing things. The question is, how much time do you need? That's the other question. And then if you come out, right, not everybody has a support system, and they could wind, going back up and being criminals again. I mean, they wind up committing crimes.
But here's the thing, and I don't think a lot of people realize this though, but what's going on now is we're giving excuses for criminals. Criminals get arrested and we're giving excuses. They're this, they're that. The cops were horrible to them. We're leaving more criminals on the street. Crime is 100% going up. I talk about Thanksgiving weekend. We had 8 homicides in Vegas. It's crazy. How many? We got Kevin.
How many more gun laws can we have in the books? I mean,
how many more gun laws can we have in the books?
Basically, there's tons of laws. Right?
There's tons of them, right? There's nothing we could do that's going to stop this. It's a mental health problem. People don't want to hear that. They believe that gun laws are going to stop this. It's not. And I know some of my viewers aren't going to like my opinion on this, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you something I don't believe in. I believe that the gun laws will not work. We need to get stricter on mental health because it's mental health.
So someone wrote, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay to talk about a little bit, like people don't want to talk about politics,
right?
But someone's saying basically it's the liberal states in general. What's your take on that? You think
it
it's
is
Republican states, yes. Democrat states?
Yes, it is.
How does that, for some people that don't really understand it, explain. Like if you're in a state that's like more Republican or more Democratic, how does that change things?
Listen, there's never going to be stricter gun laws in Texas. There's never going to be stricter gun laws in Florida. Okay. Oregon,
because it's more of
Seattle,
more of a Republican state.
Yes, California. There's going to be strict gun laws because they're liberal states, and for some reason they believe that making stricter gun laws are going to stop these shootings, which me and you as cops know that is false. It's not going to happen. Criminals get guns illegally, not legally. That's just the way I feel.
We just had some gunshots here in the. Everyone stay calm here.
Listen, and our phone lines are open. It's quiet today. Call in. Let's hear your opinion today.
Someone says that's actually false. They said the red states have more violent crime. Easy to fact check is what someone said.
Okay, I got an opinion. You could fact check that all you want. That's because if there's more crime, you got to look at the DA in that county. Because if you have a liberal DA, they're releasing people now. So yes, you could have a Republican-run state, but if the DA is liberal, you're going to have different results. And I don't want to get into politics, but we got to, because crime is out of control in this country. We are the crime solvers, and we got to talk about it. It's the issue right now.
Sweet Prim states gun laws will only hurt the law-abiding citizens.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, I'd be very upset personally. Like I said, I'm not even like a gun person. If someone said they came to my house and said, hey, we want to take away your guns and stuff like that, how am I supposed to protect my family? God forbid one thing happens.
Right.
So the whole point is that, someone's saying facts. I mean, look, we can look up all the facts all day long. I mean, the bottom line is there's shootings that take place in all these different states, and it's an issue. If you got a great solution, that's great. Kevin says here, what are your thoughts about having people go through gun courses before obtaining a gun? Every state's different, right?
See, but I'm okay with that. Now, even though I'm a pro-gun, okay, I agree that we should have some type of course, Dave. People, I mean, how many times do we have to go through a weapon, in the police academy? We had to take it apart, put it back together. We had to know everything about that gun. They should definitely take a safety course. I'm for all that. So I'm on the Democratic side on that.
But you can't get the bad guy to go take a safety course.
Right. Well, yeah, of course.
I mean, it's bad. So the other thing you could say is, forget the gun course, right?
Okay.
What about a mental health check by a psychiatrist to see whether or not, and then you get like a health card that says you're allowed to have a gun.
And I also think if you've ever been into mental health, you should never get a gun. You shouldn't get a gun. I'm okay with that too. You know, if you have mental health problems, you know, unless you're checked by a doctor and a doctor says you're okay now to carry a gun, I would say you can't carry a gun. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with some of these laws. I'm okay with a safety course. But banning guns are not going to stop this. It will make it worse. And you know what? We got to talk about this. Did you see the one guy stopped it, the shooting?
Yeah, tell us a little bit what happened. Like,
he decided, he said once he got the courage enough, he attacked the guy. And when he attacked him, he was able to get the gun off him after a little bit of a fight. I don't know if you see it in the video. The only thing is when he got the gun off him, he told the guy to leave. And like me and you talked, he shouldn't have did that. That was the only thing wrong because that guy's still in danger to the public. You know what I mean? So he shouldn't have told him to leave at that point.
Superfan Steve, who jumps around to different podcast locations, he actually shared, he was saying what happens a year from now.
There's one. Chris says guns aren't the problem. It's the people are using them. I agree.
So
I agree.
So Superfan Steve says, what happens after a year from now? You know, the guy becomes crazy a year from now, a year later. I mean, technically, you could do a yearly mental health check.
Yeah.
And anyone that basically has a gun. But again, I mean, is it really going to change things? I like the concept. I always laugh because people say gun courses. Like the guy that was crazy going to, you know, a location, like going through a gun course, you actually may be training people a little bit too much.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He could have killed more people if he actually was trained.
Yes.
But I think the mental health is the issue. And I think we'll see what happens in California with these two people. The older guy, I'm just guessing it's mental health. He went there. Something must have happened. He was pissed off. He was upset. I think he went to the dance hall. What was the second one in California? I didn't really catch.
I didn't know that one either. I know they shot. I think it was 7 people in that one.
It was like the farming area and stuff like that. I think it was more of a work situation, like a hostile work environment.
Yeah.
And the guy goes back. He must have been like an employee, and he was upset. That's why I say these days you gotta be careful where you work. I'm afraid to go back into an office these days because dealing with sometimes dealing with employees or your coworkers.
Yeah.
You know, it's worse. And even myself, I've had some situations in the past. Like, you got to be really careful wherever you are.
Oh, I totally
People just
agree.
don't care these days. Like, people will just lose a job and they'll hit you in the face. They'll take out a gun or a knife. And like, you really got to be careful these days wherever you are. And people have like a short temper these days. I think even with COVID, people are worse. I know a lot of people that I know recently. I would say normally they wouldn't say things, and these days they're upset. Like they want to. People also don't want to be victimized these days. They want to stand up for their rights.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. I totally agree. Now, I want to bring up another case, and my followers asked me to. There was a girl from LSU College. She was drinking, and she actually ended up, her blood alcohol was 4 times the legal limit. Okay. She was raped by 4 guys, and then she was hit by a car and died that night.
Okay.
These guys videotaped her being unconscious and laughing about it and joking about it. All 4 of them have been arrested. Her blood alcohol, honestly, Dave, I think it was close to a 4.0, which is, I mean, she basically was unconscious. She was basically unconscious. I mean, these colleges anymore, we send our kids to these colleges. Are these colleges safe? Especially for the girls. I have 2 daughters. You have 2 daughters. My daughters are done with college now, but it's definitely got to be a concern. It's got to be a concern. I mean, all 4 of these boys definitely should be arrested, and they should do the maximum sentencing, whatever it is. They're having sex with a girl that can't even talk. And of course, these idiot kids videotape it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because they're idiots.
I mean, these days, it makes me nervous for any female. It could happen to men as well. But anything you drink, right? You go to a bar, you go to a place, someone could put something in your drink, and you just don't know. Or you're hanging out. I mean, you hope it never happens where it's a friend or, college dorm where someone tries to take advantage of you. But you have to be very careful. I mean, you have to, sad to say, in our society, in planet Earth, I don't care what state or what country where you are, you have to protect yourself and your family. And it could be literally just watching your drink because some person's, a little bit evil and trying to basically take advantage of you. Yep.
Listen, I did promise on my live last night that, we gave a shirt away last week, and we do have to send that to the lady. She's she's actually in Australia. Yes. We have to figure a way to get her that shirt.
We might have to fly to Australia for the shirt.
We might have to. But they asked me if we'd give a bear away today.
Okay.
So right here? All right. We want to give the bear away today. But the only way we're giving the bear away, everybody, you got to call in. And here's the question.
By the way, did we change the name? Because is it still?
People want us to change the name of the bear. Okay, they talked about making him.
I was thinking about calling it Gentil.
So
it looks like a Gentil type of bear.
What we'll do is we'll have a contest. We'll have a contest to name the bear. So this week I'll go live and we'll have a contest to name the bear. And the person that gets the name will get like a shirt and a hat or something.
What's the reason why
what
was the name again? I already forgot.
They Champ.
What happened?
But people don't like Champ. They said it should be like a crime solver, like the name Clue or something like that.
Ted
You know
Bundy
what I mean?
Ted Bundy or something?
I don't know. But listen, here's the question today.
It could be Ted, like Ted Bundy, but Ted. That's a bad joke, I guess.
Here's the question today. Here's the question today. What was the crime solver's name on TikTok before he was the crime solver? Don't say it. So if you know my name on TikTok, I changed my name about 2 months ago. What was my name? If you could call in, you'll get a bear sent to you today. Phone number is 833-847-7227.
And you can't have any physical relationship with Danny. You can't know Danny Minor, the crime solver. Some people in the audience.
Do multiple people have physical relationships with me?
I think the girl in the back is using her cell phone all the way in the back in the 8th row.
Yes. Wait.
In the 8th row there. I can't even see. What is it?
Listen, we did have a questioner on the board. The nice Canadians don't have any gun issues.
I don't really know about the whole Canadian thing. People were saying here on TikTok that basically that same thing happens in Canada. So I think Australia is a little bit different. I guess we got to.
I think they took all the guns in Australia. I do. I'm not sure.
I think there's no mass shootings in Australia, but I mean basically it's a large island. Right. But I think they took away the guns.
Is that what they did? I'm pretty sure.
But then there's something when someone mentioned about during COVID time that they were forced to be in their homes and that the whole point of freedom is taken away. I guess once you start taking away guns from people, that's where your freedom, your rights is what people are kind of concerned about. What gives you freedom and rights is the right to bear arms. And if you take away that right, people feel that you're not free. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that in general.
Listen, I'm pro-gun for everything. I'm pro-freedom. I'm pro-gun. But, like I said, but I have common sense things. I think everybody should take a safety course. I do. I mean, because too many young kids, I don't know if you saw the video last week. There was a young kid running around with a handgun. He was 6 years old. Yeah, he found it in his parents' house. He's running around the porch. I mean, you need to take a safety course before you carry a gun. That's my opinion.
The safety course may actually help where, people that, God forbid, someone's crazy using a firearm, that someone's trained better to actually stop the threat. Like police officers are trained. Normally, I would think quarterly, they go for qualifications.
Right.
But the average person is not really, I don't even know what the CCW does to qualify.
Yeah, you have to qualify.
Yearly? Is it yearly?
No. Oh, I don't think yearly.
I think it's every...
Yeah, I think it's just once.
I think Superfan Steve will probably tell us how long.
Oh, Steve.
I just never dealt with it in general. But I mean, the bottom line is bad guys are the ones that are using the guns. Just reading a few comments here. Basically, someone said, I have 3 daughters. I worry for them every day of my life. And it's funny, my girls, very young. They're 8 and 6, but you're making me think about it now in general. But the biggest thing is in school with my 8-year-old, we talk about bullies. And bullies not even it's a guy, it's another girl.
Right.
And I don't want her to be a victim. And you got to teach these kids how to stand up for themselves and not to be a victim. And you can't always, as much as you want to tell a teacher, eventually what's the point where basically, what would you tell, if, I don't know if you ever did it when your kids were younger, at what point in time it's okay, now you need to take things in your own hands if someone's going to be a bully or push you around, even in school, because the kids are worried about getting in trouble with the teacher, even if they're being bullied. So I don't want them it's kind of like a mindset. You're teaching a child that it's okay to be pushed around, even at school, because you don't get in trouble. So to me, eventually, you'll just be a victim of a crime. When does it stop? What would you teach? What did you teach your kids when they were younger?
With the bullying?
Yeah, if it was a bully, you're 8 years old and there's a girl or boy, trying to bully, and you're in school. What did you tell your kids?
I'm going to tell you what my father told me. My father told me to punch them in the mouth. Okay. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, what did you tell your girls?
My daughter, I did tell them to stand up for themselves. My youngest daughter, she was actually bullied to the point I had to go into the school.
Okay.
And I went into the school, and you know what? My daughter's a very pretty girl. She got bullied because she was pretty. Honestly, that's the truth. They picked on her because of that. And I went into the school, and you know what I learned, Dave? Bullying is more with the girls than it is with the boys. And you wouldn't believe that, but it's true. The teacher told me girls bully more than boys. Boys accept each other more. What do you think of that?
It's interesting because, like I said, my 8-year-old mentioned it, that in class that there's some issues. But, I mean, it goes either ways. I'm now thinking back, my childhood, basically, there were, girls picking on the other girls and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's definitely a concern.
Right.
And then sometimes they group together, right? It's almost like a gang format, of some that goes, even in elementary school, right? I mean, people, for what you wear and your clothing or how you look and stuff like that. I mean, it's definitely something that you need to talk to your kids about, a game plan. So, like I said, I try to talk about it, implement it, but I'm just always concerned. They're younger. Whatever you teach them when they're younger, it's like muscle memory as cops. What we talk about when they're older, they're going to say the same thing. But we got a call coming in.
Okay.
We're testing. Yeah,
You scared me. You scared me.
You got us all excited. We thought the phone
Listen, everybody's being quiet today. Let's get some calls in here.
It's quiet in London.
What was my name on TikTok? You can win a bear. You can win a bear.
Someone said there should be a survivor class in college for all females, which I think a lot of these schools do.
Yes.
About safety and walking around and stuff like that in general. I actually think karate and taking some type of form of self-defense, even young kids, I think a lot of times it's the mindset. You may never use karate, right? But it's the mindset of not being victimized as well.
Listen, Dave, my youngest daughter, I just want to bring this up. We were talking about crime prevention because, I taught crime prevention for years. And I said to her, I look around, I see if anybody looks suspicious. This is what I tell her I do when I walk to my car. She straightened me out the one day, and it actually made me feel bad because she said to me, Dad, everybody's suspicious to a female that's walking alone. Any male I see is suspicious. He doesn't have to look suspicious. Any male that I walk by, I'm suspicious of. We have to protect ourselves from every single guy. Could you imagine that?
It's a crazy statement.
And it's true, though.
It's true. I agree.
It's true.
I mean, it's sad to say that for men and females, and certain men, right, if they're single, they're trying to pick up women in general, and they have different, I was going to say tactics, which sounds funny, but strategies, right? Hey, how are you doing? What's going on? I mean, you could be at a bus stop. You could be anywhere that you are, but you have to be careful. You don't know who they are. Even you don't even know if they're a registered sex offender. Actually, you don't know who they are, their background. Have they been arrested before? Or
And listen, me and you, we're talking about getting in shape for the stratosphere. Me and you could go out jogging tonight. We're coming home, right? Women go out jogging, they don't come home. It's a different world for women. And honestly, my daughter brought that to my attention. She basically told me, Dad, every single man I'm afraid of. Until they prove that I shouldn't be afraid of them. And this is the other thing she said to me. She said to me, all she wants to do is go to the grocery store, Albertsons, Smith's. She said she parks her car, she gets hoot and hollered at all the way into the grocery store by guys she doesn't know. She said she could be wearing sweatpants and just woke up. She gets this and gets harassed as she's in the grocery store. Me and you as men never had to deal. No girl ever hoot and hollered over me getting out of the car.
It's a very serious topic. What I was saying, we would laugh, right, for us if we got like girls were whistling at us all day long.
Yes.
I know you get it a lot more than me do. Like people whistling and stuff like that. But the bottom line is that could you imagine? I think most men, it's funny, would want that, right?
Yes.
Until it happens to you, right? If it happens all day, you're basically being harassed, and it's probably victimization in another level. Like people, they're whistling. What do they call it? Catcalling, right?
Catcalling, yes.
And a lot of people basically don't like that, especially, right? You go to the supermarket, you just don't want to have any problems. That's why also a lot of females, they dress down when they go out. They don't want to look good because they don't want to be bothered by people.
Right.
Or they wear a hat or something like that. But it's crazy to think about that. That's what they're doing in order to prevent from being bothered, or they're scared of basically men that are trying to kind of pick them up,
And another thing my daughter...
Horrible men out there.
Listen, the other thing my daughter brought up, and, this is what she said, we don't have an active shooter or a gun problem. We have a man problem. We have a man problem because, when was there an active shooter female? When was the last active shooter serial killer, right? It's men. Men do this all the time. And it's because men don't get help. Men need to get help. And the stigma used to be, if you get mental health treatment, you're crazy and people call you crazy. Mm-hmm. It's time for men to start getting help because the world's dangerous out there because of men.
Well, according to our friend Beja, all the men are in that mental health class on the phone with her.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that, yes.
She's like, all these men are getting help, I'm like,
yes.
I think you happen to be a very good-looking Latina, and that's the reason why they're in the class. I don't know if they got notified that day of who was going to be in the class, but for some reason, Beja was very excited and happy to know that there's so many men getting help, and we just said, well, maybe it's court mandated that basically they're there in the class.
Yes.
So we had a good laugh about that, but she was very upset with me when I said that, but I would love to look at that, sheet, why she's the only girl. And
now, did they used to give you mental health treatment at work if you saw a bad incident or no?
Yeah, so a lot of times, if you got into a shooting or something happened, they would always, sometimes it was like a pastor, right? That was a chaplain for the police department. Some places have it more of the, I think, local towns, local police.
Okay.
We had some different chaplains. And then we also had, it was called PEEP. Basically, like for employees, if you felt that you were having a problem or something happened or someone died, within the police department, they would go around.
Yeah.
But even those people need help. Like I said, I worked with a Henderson police officer, God rest his soul. His name is Kevin Murphy, and I don't know what took place, but he was the guy in charge. He was a cop. He was in charge of all these other cops go around, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay, right? And he took his own life. And it's a very
God.
It's a very sad situation. And like, this is a guy who would never think that he was having any problems. He was like military, black belt in karate, like, and you just don't know, you don't know what happens in people's homes. Everyone thinks you could have a smile on your face, but inside, you're upset, or people have financial problems, or, and even like suicide was with COVID that was taking place. So, you got to be really careful talking to people. And if you see something, ask people if they need some help. And even if they don't need help, I mean, you could always tell somebody, if you work with somebody, an employee, like in the place in California, if someone, excuse me, if someone you're working with is upset and you think that he's going to do something, notify somebody, notify law enforcement. You have to speak up. You have to tell somebody.
This is what I always say, and I teach this in my active shooter seminars. If you see a change in personality in people, that's what you got to look for, okay? If you got an employee that comes to work every day on time, doesn't abuse sick time for the last 10 years, and now all of a sudden he's calling off sick, he looks like he slept in his clothes, right? There's a reason for the change in behavior. It could be alcohol, it could be a divorce, it could be drugs. There's a reason for the change in behavior, and that's what you got to look for. Change in behavior in people, the way they're acting. Are they being, alone? Are they not talking much? You got to start looking for them changes in behavior in people. But like I said, even if you report it, the police hands are tied. Their hands are tied. They really are. And that's why we got to fix our mental health system. People don't want to hear that, but it's the truth.
Aaron, if you don't mind, I just want to showcase, I want to talk about a few things, but if we could showcase the crimesolver.com, which is the app on the screen. I know some of the people on TikTok, when I talk about it, they may not be able to see it. But if you go to the crimesolver.com, I just want to showcase what's there for some people. When you go to the app and you want to add it to your home screen, if we have different things that are coming up, there's going to be notifications and you'll be notified as long as you add the app to your home screen. If you click on the top left-hand side, there's a spot which is tabs. And then if we can click the tab button, if you can find it there. And if you want to communicate with us, or if there's I can't see the tab here, Joe. Yeah. But if you can click out of it, there should be on the top left-hand side. Anyway, there's all these different things you go. The way you want to buy some merchandise, if you have a tip, if you're in any state whatsoever, nationwide, and you have a tip that you believe that can solve a crime, the whole point of the Crime Solver was to get people involved to help solve crime. You can actually go to thecrimesolver.com, click on reward money, and there is reward money in different states. If you're able to help solve a crime and you have a tip, you can remain anonymous, or you can give your information. We are working with law enforcement nationwide. We do share all the tips nationwide. So if you have something, even if you think there's somebody that you think that is going to hurt people, we'll take that tip and we'll share it, and actually we'll ask you what city or what state that you're in. So again, if you want to communicate with us and you want to send any messages, just add thecrimesolver.com to your home screen and start using it. And then when you want to go live or watch now, that's the best way of doing it in general.
You want to give the number out again? Yes. This is quiet today. We usually get 7 or 8 calls. 833-847-7227. Remember, what was my name before I was the Crime Solver? If you could get that, free bear today. Okay, there you go. You got the bear today. There, I got him up on the screen. TikTok, so you can see it. There you go, TikTok. Call in. If you want to tell us while we're waiting for this infamous call that may come in, is that tell us a little bit about Alec Baldwin. What's the latest with that one? I was just going to talk about that because I just got a text message about it too. Okay, Alex Baldwin, he has been charged. Mm-hmm. Okay, but a lot of people are saying, shouldn't the girl that actually checked the weapon also be charged? And I kind of agree with that. Do you agree? Well, they were saying that she's the expert, but someone said that she wasn't like a great expert. Well, now she's definitely like, why is there live ammo on the set? It's interesting. There's an attorney that is out of L.A., and I guess what he did was he wrote, and maybe I could look it up real quickly. Let me do that right now. It's very interesting. But what he wrote like a defense, for Alec Baldwin as if he was the attorney. Okay. And let me see if I can pull up and read it. I thought it was very interesting because he basically just shared it. And his name is Lou Shapiro, and I follow him over in L.A. He's a criminal defense attorney, but I thought it was really interesting. People were also giving him a little bit of heat, I guess, about his response about it. But let me see if I can find it, because he always brings up different topics. But let me see if I can find it real quickly. Well, listen, why are you bringing that up? I just want to tell you this. Oh, wait, what's this? Andrew Cuomo accuses prosecutor who charged Alec Baldwin for fatal shooting of being driven by political ambition, not the law. See, that's wrong. That's not true. Listen, it is involuntary manslaughter. It was a mistake. I don't think he should go to jail, but I do think he should be charged. I mean, how do you feel?
You think he should be charged?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Listen, Dave, number one rule when you're a gun owner is every gun is loaded. I don't care if you checked it, everybody in this studio checked it, I should still check the gun again.
But I thought he thought it was a fake gun because it was a prop gun.
No, he knew it was real.
He knew it was a real gun?
Yes, he knew it was real. And here's the thing. You got to check every single gun. And that's where he made the mistake. So I think it's a horrible situation for everybody. I think he should be charged. I think he'll end up pleading guilty with no jail time. That's my prediction.
Let me read this. It's a little lengthy, but unless people are going to call and then we can stop, I'll just read it because I thought it was really good. Again, 1-833-847-7227. If you want to call in any questions whatsoever, you want to win the teddy bear, that's great. But if you want to call in for anything, you want to share. But I'll just read this real quickly. It says, so he's writing this as if he was the attorney, like at the end, right, for a jury. It says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what happened on October 21st was a horrible tragedy. The lives of the family of Hayla Hutchins are forever changed. Had the person that was responsible for ensuring the weapon involved was not loaded done her job, this would all have been avoided. For some reason, the government is trying to hold Mr. Baldwin responsible for someone else's errors. So basically what she's saying is that it wasn't his fault, right? The person that was hired on set, even though he's the producer, basically is the one that you should hold responsible, even though, right, he's holding the gun, which is very unusual because it is a movie.
Right.
It says to find someone guilty of involuntary manslaughter, the government needs to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they were negligent and their negligence resulted in the death of someone else. Criminal negligence is defined as recklessly acting without reasonable caution and putting another person at risk of injury or death. The standard is higher than carelessness or inattention. It requires conduct that is reckless, wanton, or willful. We'll stop there and we'll answer a quick call. Go ahead, caller. State where you're from.
Hey, this is Laura Powers.
Laura Powers. How are you today, Laura?
I'm good. And I just wanted to comment on Danny talking about how hard it is for women and that every man is basically suspect when you're out. And I want to confirm that that's the case. And I'm really glad to hear men talking about it because we feel like women, that's obvious to us because we experience it. But I think more men need to understand that that's what it's like.
Laura, I think you heard about me saying about my daughter. She said she's, scared of every man she sees. You know what I mean? She makes sure she's watching them. I mean, is that how a woman feels every day when she goes out? Like when she goes to the grocery store, the mall, going to her car?
Yes, I think a woman has to constantly be aware. I mean, any woman, but especially if you're, considered attractive. So I'm, blonde, blue-eyed, tall, I'm a model. And it is literally this constant barrage of, being approached, harassed. And I just want men to understand what that's like. And I think sometimes men think that we're being paranoid, and it's not the case. It's just you really don't know what anyone who's approaching you is capable of, and you have to assume that there's potential danger.
I totally agree with you. And honestly, my daughter really brought that to my attention, Laura. I mean, if it wasn't for her saying, Dad, we have to be afraid of every single man, not just somebody that looks suspicious. Any man. The man could be wearing a suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's someone that could be sitting next to you. I know we've talked about this on the Problem Solver show, but I've been roofied before. And, and it's frequently, date rapes and, these kinds of date rape drug attacks are often done by people that the person knows. So I think women have to be wary of, sort of stranger danger, but also even people, sadly, that are already in their circle.
Also, personally, I think that people, whether female or male, need to protect themselves. Again, a little bit of karate, self-defense, confidence, and then also, whether you have pepper spray or a firearm, I mean, you have the right to protect yourself, and God forbid something happens, depending on the location where you are, the day and time, if you're walking or hiking, wherever you are, I mean, you have the right to protect yourself. So we appreciate you calling in, Laura, and thanks for the feedback.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you for bringing that to attention, specifically of men, because I think for women it's known. So thanks for helping spread that word.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. Call back again.
Bye.
It's definitely a concern. One thing I want to share with you as well is, and I know with the Idaho situation, we're going to find out with Idaho and California as we talk about these different cases. My goal I always did crime prevention, community policing. How do we prevent these things from other people? How do we prevent it from you? So the truth is, at least in this state, and every state has different laws wherever you are in the world, if you're allowed to have a firearm at this day and age and you want to go protect yourself, go take a class, go to a gun store, learn how, it works at a gun store. You could buy pepper spray. You could buy a taser, just like police officers have.
Yeah.
So please look into that and research. Go ahead, caller. What's your name?
Hey, it's Charlie, Danny.
Hey, Charlie, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, going crazy here. Hey, Val. Wait, I got to get this off my chest for your ladies watching this right now.
Okay.
When Danny and I used to work together, we used to have to hide him in the camera room because the ladies would come in there looking for Danny to flirt with him. Just so y'all know, he was constantly harassed by all the girls.
Unbelievable.
Anyway.
It's horrible.
It was a horrible situation growing up, you know?
Yeah. I have 5 daughters. You know that.
Yes.
And they always told me how bad the girls bullied them in school and everything else. And then, as they got older and they would go out drinking and everything, I'd always, have to knock them down a few sizes to try to straighten them out. Like, hey, keep your eyes open. Make sure you're with your girlfriends. Make sure you buddy up. Don't drink too much, all this other stuff. But nowadays, it's worse. The guys are literally getting the ladies drunk to rape them, and it's disgusting. And something has to be done with this. These kids have to go to jail for what they're doing to these girls. If they're not going to go to jail, bring them here to Pennsylvania where we live. And, let me take them out into the woods, tie them to a tree, and put honey all around them. And, let the first black bear or brown bear come over and lick them. They'll enjoy that. But,
it's very. I know you're from Pennsylvania. That's very common out here in Las Vegas. They always put honey on people out here. It's very common on the Strip.
Well, hey, we have some big trees here, and where Danny's from, there's a lot of woods around here, so we do have a lot of bear. So, it's wrong. Something has to be taught in these schools and everything else, because you hear about it more and more every day here, and it's disgusting. These girls have to be taught when they're young and everything else on, what they can do and what they, shouldn't be doing. But
I agree, Charlie.
A lot of them aren't.
Charlie, do you think the statute of limitations is over in Pennsylvania for all those women trying to hound that Danny? You think we can still prosecute, or it's over?
Oh, no, pal. Danny steps 1 foot back here in PA, and they're all going to be back all over him again. It's like white on rice, pal.
At least he grabbed one good one and brought her out here, right?
Yeah, right. At least, I'm not going to go any further than that. But, seriously, we had to hide him in the camera room back at the store, so girls would stop and leave him alone.
When we leave the studio today, there's actually a line out the door right now. People want his autograph and stuff like that.
Charlie, you're building me up, brother.
Yeah, right. You already have a big head, pal. Take care.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Call next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Dave, we were getting whoever was calling, we had a couple more calls coming in. I saw we were on with Charlie. So call in if you get anybody else. We missed you. Sorry. Call in.
Before we get another call, I just want to throw one thing that was very interesting about the Alec Baldwin situation. In this thing from Lou Shapiro, the criminal defense attorney, he's saying the whole point of hiring experts in regards to Alec Baldwin, the gun situation, says just like we rely on the FAA to inspect the planes before we travel and the FDA to approve foods before we eat them, Mr. Baldwin relied on Miss Gutierrez before he handled the weapon. So the whole point is that we wouldn't charge if the plane went down and it was basically the FFA. Will we charge them with murder?
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Or if we eat food in the FDA and someone dies,
right,
do we go after the FDA inspector? Does he get a murder charge? So it is interesting.
Listen, we got actually a couple calls are coming in.
There's a call on the line right now. What's your first name?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I love the show.
Oh, thank you.
What's your first name?
Rose.
Rose, tell us why you love it. We're trying to get some feedback.
It's very fun. There's a lot of good information, great guests. So, yeah, I just wanted to tell you it's a great show.
Thanks, Rose. Where are you from?
Thank you so much.
Sound like from London.
Henderson.
Hi, Henderson in the house. Awesome. Thank you, Rose.
London and Henderson's like the same thing, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Depends how you see it, right?
Thank you so much, Rose.
Thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Here comes we got another call, too. Hey, caller, you're on with the Crime Solvers, Danny and Dave. Hello? Somebody's calling. I see it.
Well, that was nicer from Henderson.
Yeah, that was nice.
How much people are listening from other states? Basically, Henderson is the suburb city in Las Vegas.
We have a call coming in there. We did. It just stopped.
And
caller, call back. We just saw you calling. Call back. We saw the line ringing.
So
here's the thing, Dave. And I think about back in I grew up. I had 2 sisters, and my sisters always said to me, they're always like, "Hey, Danny, Mom and Dad treated you different than they treated us." My sisters, they were more protective with oh, here you go. Hey, caller, you're on with Dave and Danny, the Crime Solvers. Where your name and where you from?
Kevin Tate, and from Pennsylvania.
Hey, what's up, Tate?
Hey, what's up? First time caller here watching the Crime Solvers, and really enjoying your show here, Danny. And I want to touch a little bit on what you guys were talking about with the women, and of course, me and you go a long way, and we both have our daughters and everything. What I wanted you guys to touch on was that a lot of women today are walking on the streets broad daylight, looking at their telephones and have earbuds in, so they're really not paying attention to what's going on.
That's an excellent point. You should never, honestly, if you're alone jogging or exercising, you should never wear them headphones. Never. I don't know why they do. Yeah. I totally agree with you, because you're not looking what's going around you. You're looking at your phone. You don't know what's ahead of you. You should be looking what's ahead of you. I totally agree, Kevin.
Yeah, and I tell my youngest daughter, and you know this, she lives up in the Upper East Side of New York City.
Right.
And she's out all day long. She takes the subways, and that's a big problem in the city. And I'm sure your partner there knows that, being an ex-New York City cop, that subways are pretty dangerous, especially if you're standing by the platforms and stuff. So I think a lot of women especially need to be aware of that, their surroundings. And my daughter has actually gotten to the point where she'll stand up against the wall now and not near the platform.
In New York City, it's crazy. When I was a cop, I was full uniform. I was afraid to be down there. I got a gun and badge, but it means absolutely nothing these days. But I would stay away because a lot of times people get pushed into they call the platform, then basically the rail that's there, into the trains, and a lot of people die from that. And there's a lot of mentally unstable people that are waiting for someone not paying attention, and they'll just push someone into the subway or to the tracks, and it's crazy. And a lot of times,
I
go ahead.
Yeah, I know that. Just from going in the city and on the subways, you could go. I'll tell you, I'll go into Penn Station often because I work in and out of New York City, and I'll often take the transit over to Penn Station. And what you'll see is just amazing, all the mental health people, mental issues that are just down in the subway system, and that's what people really need to be aware of. And it's just mental, like you touch on the guns too, mental health is an issue, and it's such a hard subject to talk about. People obtaining guns and going back and forth whether you have the mental ability to have it. Should you take a mental health test? And like I said, I think I texted you guys earlier before. Then you start getting the lawyers getting involved into the HIPAA laws. So where do you draw the line at? And I personally, I'm a gun person, but I don't believe everybody should own a gun or be able to have one because, and again, I'm an ex-police officer, and Danny knows this, and it takes a certain person. If you have a gun, that's big responsibility. When you have a gun, you have a responsibility in hand that you may have to kill somebody with that gun someday.
I agree. Everything you said, I totally agree with, Kev.
By the way, I'll share a real quick story because you mentioned Penn Station. I was at NYPD for 3 years. I got transferred to MTA Police. I did work Penn Station and Grand Central Terminal, and I will share with you, looking back on it, kind of feel bad saying this, but there's people that live, in the tracks. And I remember there was a very large gentleman. He came out, wearing a T-shirt and shorts and no socks, barefoot, all this black soot on him. He was like 300 pounds, and they live down there, and definitely mentally unstable. And the truth is, once in a while, you look the other way because if I got to deal with this guy and arrest him for trespassing in the tracks and dealing with this big guy, but it's a mess. There are people living down there mentally unstable, especially when it's wintertime. But it's definitely dangerous, and it's a whole crazy situation.
It's sad too, and I see why they're down there because it's warm. The city, how crazy the wind gets in that city between those buildings, and people are sleeping on grates and stuff, and all they're doing is trying to get warm. But we all, and me included, you just walk by those people and they're just like the underbelly of society, and you could dive into a rabbit hole with this conversation. Where is the point where you really start taking care of your people? So it could go, and that ties into a lot of crimes that we have. There's just it's a mental. I believe if somebody's killing somebody, it's for one or two reasons. Like you're either really pissed at them or you're just like that off the wall, mentally ill. That you're going to do this because that's something that inherently as a human being you don't want to be killing somebody.
Exactly. Totally.
Well, thanks so much for calling in, especially your service. How many years did you do, by the way? I know
10, right? Dave?
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your service as well. We need cops all over the world.
And when you get to Vegas, we'll put you on the show, Tate.
Hey, I'll be glad to come on the show, you guys. I watch every once in a while, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's a good job, and keep up the good work, and I'll keep watching, and maybe I'll learn something too. You know what I'm saying?
All right, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
By the way, we had one person.
We actually have two callers. The phone's ringing off the hook now. We had two calling while he was on.
Do we have any calls now still?
No, I saw somebody was up
Real
there.
quickly, one of the people wrote gun laws don't work because the people who will use it for bad will still be able to get guns in the black market. There will always be a black market no matter what. The gun laws will affect the good people who want to protect themselves or their families. So we got a caller on the air. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hi there.
Hi.
I was calling for the teddy bear.
The teddy bear.
Okay.
Teddy bear. What's your name?
Rose.
Rose again. Is this the Rose from earlier?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you guys. I was so nervous.
That's okay. Don't be nervous.
That's all right. Don't be nervous.
You're from Henderson. People in Henderson are not nervous.
Dave was a cop in Henderson. He protected you when he was a cop in Henderson.
Rose, what's the name?
Yeah.
I have a. By the way, I went to a psychic medium the other day. Listened to her, and I feel that you have a lot of intuition these days from Henderson. I feel like you may really get the answer. What's the answer? What's the crime solver's previous name?
The answer is the miracle.
Yes, we got a winner. Let's hear something. Do we have something to make her the winner? Something
Yay.
making loud.
There we go. Round of applause. Do me a favor. Go to thecrimesolver.com and where it says free stuff, put your name and information, your address, and then we'll mail out the teddy bear to you. What should we name the teddy bear?
Okay. I don't know.
You don't know? Think about it.
I might just give it to somebody for Valentine's Day.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good point. Thank you for calling in, Rose, and we appreciate it. Yeah, fill that out, and we'll send you a teddy bear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Any other callers?
No, I think that's it.
There's somebody trying to call in, and every time they call in, somebody else.
I know. I saw that. Somebody is. We'll give him a couple minutes. That caller, you got a couple more minutes, and we'll stay on. If you want to call in, we'll stay on a couple minutes later if you want to call in, if you have a question.
Someone else wrote in and says here, we don't take care of our own people when we're worried about helping the Ukrainian people instead. Basically, what this person's saying is that, right, we're giving guns and weapons to the Ukrainian people, but we don't take care of our own people as well.
Listen,
in the States.
I know that's a touchy topic, especially I see it on TikTok. Somebody calling in? Hello? You're on with the Crime Solvers? Oh, they hung up. What's your name? Where you calling? All right.
They needed another quarter,
They need yes, that's what it sounded like.
They're at a payphone, calling. What's a payphone these days? Like the younger generation doesn't even know what a payphone is.
No.
My kids don't even know what a payphone is. There we go. We got some quarters coming in for people.
Let's give this person another minute here to call back before we call it a night. But Dave, like I said, with the Ukraine thing, it's a very touchy subject. I personally support the war.
Mm-hmm.
I support us supporting Ukraine. I know that's, Republicans don't like that. You know what I mean? But I just think we can't let Russia get out of control. And I support the war. I support helping Ukraine. Them people are innocent people. Somebody's got to help them.
What I want to do is this. I know we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. So if any of the last calls that want to call in, but I just want to thank some of the supporters.
Okay.
We're going to play a quick commercial. But Nationwide Accident Attorneys, which is 1-844-ATTORNEYS, is a phone number where if anyone gets into a car accident or is injured nationwide, there's all different attorneys throughout the United States. So God forbid someone needs an attorney. It's 1-844-ATTORNEYS. It's nationwide. I think we have a quick commercial. And if we are looking for other sponsors and people that want to basically either help or be involved in the Crime Solver, you can basically go to thecrimesolver.com and basically go to support us. Let's play, if we have a quick commercial. We'll play it after just to support them. And then the other thing is also, if you want to support Danny with Scaling the Strat, which again is Scaling the Stratosphere.
I hope I could do this.
We're trying to raise money for American Lung Association. If you go to thecrimesolver.com and you click on support, you can cash out money That money, you just write in that you wanted to go to American Lung Association and that you support Danny doing it. The money, all the money, 100% will go to American Lung Association, and just fill it in, say, AMA for scaling the strat. If you want to go with Danny to scale the strat with Danny, it is $200 minimum to actually give American Lung Association to do it.
Yeah.
And you actually would go all these stairs up to the stratosphere top and I guess down.
It's 1,400 stairs.
It's a lot of stairs.
That's a lot of stairs. I mean, believe me, I did a walk like that in Colorado. It was 2,800 stairs. So I was able to do it. But I guess that's our cue. Thank you all. We'll see you next week, 2 p.m.
2 p.m. We'll see you next week. And we appreciate all the support. Again, crimesolver.com. Thank you, Go Live Vegas, at the studio here in Las Vegas. We appreciate all the support. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
What are you doing here, Danny?
What am I doing? I'm doing a commercial for Hand and Spa. Hey, everyone. People are always asking me after a great podcast like we had yesterday, what do I do to relax? I go to Hand and Stone Spa for my massage. There's nothing better than Hand and Stone. Believe me. Let me take you in. Okay, we're in. Look at how beautiful this place is. You got a relaxing sitting area. Beautiful front of the spa. Everybody taking care of you. Everybody's friendly. You feel relaxed. And that's why I come here. After a hard podcast, I come here to relax, get a massage. They take care of me every time. So gotta come here. I'll show you the rest of the building. I'll show you one of the rooms. Crime Solver is ready for his massage. Just relax. Let me put my face here so I can just relax and have an enjoyable massage. This is great. Everybody's got to come to Hand and Stone Massage. Shh, I gotta be quiet. There's other people in the room. Shh.
Vegas Studios, a unique multi-camera social media virtual content creators paradise. We offer high-end services using live streaming and film production for your personal or corporate, commercial or event and campaign needs. Pre-record or live stream to your audience on multiple social media platforms simultaneously. Fun and interactive with social media comments, phone lines, live remotes, audio Foley sounds, and Snapchat filters. Be creative, get recognized, and make money. We help you by providing an all in-house production team. Visit our website at golive.com.